everybody, Tyler on the God 3 here. Welcome back to Dragon Ball Super Reviews. Today we'll be doing the review of episode 105. This episode is titled, A Desperate Battle, Master Roshi's Sacrifice. So this episode basically is all about Master Roshi. Master Roshi ends up fighting the first warrior from Universe 4 known as Kawe. And Kawe ends up trying to seduce Master Roshi, but the seduction doesn't work. Master Roshi's built up an immunity thanks to his training. And then she ends up basically running herself off of the arena out of fear of what Master Roshi could possibly do to her in his perverted mind. So she literally threw herself out. The second fight is against Dakori. Dakori ends up using all these talismans to cause illusions and things to mess with Master Roshi, but Master Roshi basically overcomes it and ends up using the evil containment wave, and he uses it correctly because there's a seal on the little cup. And there's a little debate over whether or not this is legal or not, which I'm glad they actually covered, because I was thinking to myself, wait a minute. Aren't the fighters not allowed to bring anything that's outside of their body into the fight? Like, weapons aren't allowed. But when you stop to think about it, the weapon is part of his technique. Plus, both of the Zeno said it's really cool, so they just went ahead and allowed it. So, go figure. Anyway, after that, the last fight that Master Roshi ends up doing is against a character named Ganos, which we saw earlier before, and it's basically all of Universe 4's fighters. Ganos ends up fighting off against Master Roshi, and he ends up having this transformation, and he's much stronger than Master Roshi. However, Master Roshi can basically read all of his movements, so Master Roshi doesn't have any real fear of getting hit by Ganos' attacks, because all of Ganos' attacks are very predictable, even though he's much stronger. Which I thought that was a pretty nice attention to detail. It's like, oh, the strongest fighter isn't the one that always wins. It's the one that can actually read the movements and fight like a true martial artist. I do like that. But in the end, Ganos ends up overcoming this, and he gets a calm, leveled head. And he changes up his battle style a little bit, and Master Roshi ends up getting whooped. After that, though, Master Roshi puts all of his max power into using a Kamehameha, ends up wiping Ganos out, but it was way too much for Master Roshi to handle, so Master Roshi ends up passing out. He's basically dead at this point, and Krillin and Goku get all sentimental. Goku comes over and uses a Kakai to keep trying to heal Master Roshi. It doesn't work at first, and then Goku ends up using all of the energy he had while at Super Saiyan Blue in order to give Master Roshi back some life. Master Roshi comes back, he's all good, and basically they walk off, and the episode is over right there. One of the pros of this episode, like I stated before, is the fact that Master Roshi uses actual martial artist techniques in order to defeat his opponents rather than just overpowering them. It's pretty good to see when a character that is weaker can have a way to flip the entire table when it comes to battling their opponent just because they have a better knowledge of the fight or just the fighting styles. And Master Roshi stated that he was watching the entire tournament as it's been going on and learning all the moves and techniques and how things work, specifically so he can find advantages in order to avoid them. So I do like the knowledge beats power aspect, although I feel like they didn't flesh it out a lot, just simply because Master Roshi and Goku are the only two that are really utilizing this. And yes, I know Master Roshi trained Goku, but if that's the case, why did Krillin get knocked out so easily? He trained under Master Roshi as well, so did Tien, although Tien hasn't got knocked out yet, so that's a pretty good thing, and I think the next episode does focus on his character. But it is good to see that Master Roshi used knowledge over power for the most part in most of these fights, and I thought that was really well done. Plus, he isn't knocked out of the tournament yet, so he's still a fighter in the tournament, unlike Krillin, who ended up getting knocked out. And it says Master Roshi's sacrifice, so you'd think he would have been knocked out at the end of this, but he's not. Anyway, that's one thing I do like. And I also do like the fact that they answered my question over whether or not that would be illegal. I mean, granted, it was sort of just Zeno says it's cool, so it stays. But I'm glad they at least tried to tackle that subject instead of just leaving it in the dark. The cons of this episode. Oh boy, there's a bunch. First of all, yes, I do understand that Master Roshi has an advantage over a lot of these fighters just by knowledge alone. But to be honest, it doesn't really feel like he used much of that knowledge to his advantage other than reading attacks and being able to study techniques. Like, for example, when he was fighting off against Takori and she was using her talismans to cause an illusion, I didn't really get the sense that Master Roshi was under an illusion. I just felt like the entire screen turned blue for a while and Master Roshi was just running in a blue world. It was just very offsetting. It didn't feel like Master Roshi was in an illusion. There wasn't any trickery done. It's just sort of Master Roshi's in an illusion. Now what? So I didn't really get the sense that Master Roshi was any real danger. She brags about how she's got like 259 something talismans at her disposal, 149 or whatever. And she rarely used any of them. She used like 2, and then Master Roshi beat her, and then that was it. And they did that specifically so that Master Roshi could have a 3-win streak. And it's just like, okay, now what? So it didn't feel like she utilized much of her powers, and it didn't feel like it caused Master Roshi that much difficulty. Another problem is the fact that Master Roshi ended up dying in the tournament. Now, I'm sorry. I do like Master Roshi. I think he's a very comedic character, and all through the time I was watching him in Dragon Ball and in Dragon Ball Z, he was a very useful character in Dragon Ball because he was one of the strongest characters, and in Dragon Ball Z, it's clear that he's retired from fighting, and he stopped fighting altogether. So he just sort of sat back as a spectator and comic relief, and he did very well in that perspective. So why does this series feel like it holds the rights to try to make me feel sentimental for when he does something that's sacrificial? I'm sorry, when Master Roshi passed out or died or whatever he did, I didn't feel bad for it. And I'm not trying to say I don't like Master Roshi. I just said I like him. It's just Dragon Ball Super has done this thing where they take a character that they haven't used in a long time, put them into a certain situation, and then hope that we feel bad for it. I'm sorry, if people want me to stop comparing Dragon Ball Z to Dragon Ball Super or Dragon Ball, then they need to stop pulling characters from those older series, putting them in tough situations, and then trying to make sure I feel bad for them when they've been out of commission all through Super up till this point. You're not using any of these characters in Dragon Ball Super, and then suddenly you use them and I want to feel bad for them? How? You didn't use Master Roshi at all until the Resurrection F Saga, and even then, you barely used them, except to fight off a couple of minions, and then give Krillin some pep talk. And then after that, he didn't do anything else in the whole Universal Survival, in the Universe 6 arc. He didn't do anything in Goku Black's arc, except teach Goku the Mafuba, which that only took about a half an episode. And then you threw him into the Universal Survival arc, had him beat 3 people really fast, and then you expect me to feel bad that he passed out. He's not a staple character in the series. He's not being used consistently enough for me to care. Yet you're trying to carry over the weight from Dragon Ball Z and hope that Dragon Ball Z's emotional bound with Master Roshi, as well as Dragon Ball's emotional bound with Master Roshi, will travel over to Dragon Ball Super, and I'm sorry, that's just not gonna work. You can't take a character, have him not fight for literally series upon years at a time, bring him back into the fray, and then suddenly make me feel bad for him. Especially when your primary characters are Goku and Vegeta, for the most part, that you've been using all this time, and then throw in a character at last minute, have them go through a sacrifice, and then make me feel bad for them. I'm sorry, Dragon Ball Super just doesn't have the right to do that. They tried to do it again with Trunks and several other characters, and they even did it with Piccolo when Piccolo got shot down by Frieza, which, I'm sorry, I'm not going to feel sorry for. They did this once before with Nappa, but it worked better with Nappa, because when Piccolo did it with Nappa, Piccolo had an entire moment of him being Goku's antagonist at the start of the series, taking Gohan, training Gohan through the ropes and watching over him, and then they had him be a sacrificial piece. Thus, tons of episodes were led up to that moment. There was an entire half an arc that built up to Piccolo's sacrifice. Here, we just got Master Roshi taking long breaks, barely fighting, shouldn't be near the level that the other fighters are at, taking huge absences, being retired, being the comic relief character for the most part, and then suddenly you want to throw him into the fray, have him have a giant sacrifice, and then make Goku feel bad for him? I'm sorry, I just don't buy it. Yeah, I know Master Roshi has a bond with both Krillin and Goku because they're both of their masters, but at the same time, you've kept them out for so long, it's really possible that newcomers to the series won't even know why the sacrifice meant anything. He just sort of sacrificed himself, and that was it. But other than that, the only other downside I could really focus on in this episode was just the fact that, Master Roshi was able to whoop 3 people in a row. Don't get me wrong. I like the fact that Master Roshi was able to actually overcome a lot of these fighters and be a very viable piece in the tournament. But it sort of bothers me that Krillin, a character that's much stronger, much younger, has, been in more fights in Dragon Ball Z and is a more noticeable character than Master Roshi, only got away with beating 2 characters and then getting eliminated. And then you keep Master Roshi in here, have him beat 3 characters, die, come back to life, and then he's still able to be in the tournament. Like, he's still a character in the tournament. It would have been different if he had got knocked out shortly after by, like, some villain character, and Goku makes it an effort to try to stop him. But no, they didn't do it. Master Roshi's still a character in this tournament, and that bothers me. I mean, just strictly because why does Master Roshi get the liberty to be a more endurance durable character than Krillin does when Krillin clearly has been in the fray longer? He's been in the franchise actively longer than Master Roshi. It just bothers the crap out of me. Is it because he's more iconic because he started off in Dragon Ball before Krillin? It just doesn't sit right with me. But then again, there's a lot of things in Dragon Ball Super that don't sit right with me. Overall, the episode did do a good job of having Master Roshi use his brain more than his bronze, which I get it, but at the same time, it feels to me like he got away with a lot more stuff than he really deserves to get away with. But other than that, that's basically the episode. So the next episode is episode 106. Find him. Deathmatch with an invisible attacker. I'll see you all then, everybody. Tyrone the God 3 out.